Welcome to a realm where the boundary between human ambition and the raw power of nature is as thin as a thread. From the deepest subterranean voids to the highest celestial peaks, we are uncovering secrets that the world forgot to tell. These are the titans of engineering and the mysteries of the earth that define our very existence. If you crave the unknown, subscribe to our channel now and join our global community of explorers. Also, we want to know our audience. Please comment below and tell us which country you are watching from today. Why build a cross-shaped palace of glass in a city once divided by a wall of concrete? Berlin Central Station, or Hauptbahnhof, is a multi-layered architectural puzzle and the largest crossing station in Europe. Featuring a spectacular 321-meter-long glass hall, the station was engineered to allow trains to arrive on two different levels simultaneously, intersecting at a perfect right angle. The design utilizes a transparent steel and glass spiderweb that floods the interior with natural light, symbolizing the transparency and unity of modern Germany. Visually, it looks like a giant, futuristic crystal crown placed upon the heart of the city, its tracks acting as silver arteries connecting the continent. It is a source of immense pride, a monument to a nation that chose to rebuild toward the light. Yet, as the high-speed trains hiss to a halt in the dead of night, some claim to see temporal shadows on the platforms, flickers of a history that shouldn't be there. As the station's lights hum in the dark, you feel the weight of time pressing against the glass. Is the past truly gone? Or is it just waiting for the next train? Three towers holding a silver ship in the clouds. This is not a dream, but a fortress of modern luxury. Marina Bay Sands is a $5.5 billion marvel designed by Moshe Safdie, featuring the world's largest cantilevered platform, the Sky Park, perched 200 meters above the city. The three towers support a 340-meter-long arc that houses a 150-meter infinity pool, where the water appears to vanish into the horizon. Visually, it looks like a modern Stonehenge or a celestial vessel that has landed on the edge of the sea, its silver skin glowing under the tropical sun. It is a symbol of Singapore's meteoric rise and a magnet for the world's wealth and ambition. Yet at the edge of the infinity pool, where the sky meets the water, the air feels thin and electric. Some say the building sits on a junction of celestial energy that grants luck to the bold and despair to the unwary. As the city lights twinkle far below, like fallen stars, one must ask, do we touch the gods from this height? Or are we just hanging over the abyss? Never venture into the Himalayan passes alone, for the mountains do not forgive those who underestimate their power. The Zojla and Zemmour tunnels are being carved out of treacherous rock to provide year-round connectivity between the Kashmir Valley and Ladakh. Historically, These regions were cut off for 6 months by heavy snow and deadly avalanches. But this project defies the winter's grip at an altitude of over 11,000 feet. Engineers are battling sub-zero temperatures and thin air to complete this strategic link, which remains one of the most dangerous construction sites on Earth. The tunnels look like silver needles, stitching together two worlds that the gods intended to keep apart. It is a cold, dark path through the frozen heart of the world's highest mountain range. Workers often whisper about the Mountain King, who demands a toll for every inch of rock stolen from his domain. As the wind howls through the ventilation shafts, it sounds like a warning from the peaks above. We have pierced the silence of the Himalayas, but at what cost to our souls? When the blizzard screams, will the tunnel hold, or will the mountain reclaim its own? Deep within the unforgiving Gobi Desert lies a shimmering miracle of human ingenuity known as the Xinjiang Solar Power Plant. This facility stands as a titan of renewable energy, boasting a staggering capacity of 2 gigawatts, making it one of the largest solar farms ever conceived. Spanning thousands of acres, the project turns a barren wasteland into a powerhouse of the 21st century by utilizing high-efficiency photovoltaic technology. The panels are strategically tilted to capture every drop of the sun's ferocity, converting intense heat into clean electricity for millions of homes across the East. From a bird's eye view, the facility looks like a vast sapphire blue ocean ripple, frozen in the middle of a golden dust storm, a stark contrast to the shifting sands. This isn't just engineering. It is a territorial conquest of light over darkness. Under the scorching midday glare, the silence of the desert carries a hum of ancient spirits watching the mirrors. The local nomads tell stories of how the sun was once a merchant of death, but now it has been tamed to serve the living. If the sun ever stops shining, what will become of the silence we have disturbed? Melbourne's skyline hides a giant secret below as the Westgate Tunnel project emerges as a monumental $6.7 billion infrastructure undertaking designed to revolutionize the city's traffic flow. This engineering marvel involves the construction of twin tunnels under Yarraville, extending the reach of the M1 and creating a vital second river crossing. Utilizing massive tunnel boring machines, engineers are carving out paths that will take over 9,000 trucks off local roads daily, significantly reducing commute times for thousands of residents. Looking at the blueprints, the project resembles a complex subterranean vascular system, pumping life and commerce through the heart of Victoria. It is a testament to modern precision, where every millimeter of earth excavated is calculated to withstand the test of time. As the golden Australian sun sets over the Yarra River, the local workers speak of this tunnel not just as concrete and steel, but as the new backbone of their city's future. It represents a promise of homecoming and a bridge between long shifts and family dinners. Will the earth beneath our feet truly forget the weight of the traffic it once bore. Why would anyone build a structure that monitors the heartbeat of thousands of people at once? The Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, the future home of the LA Clippers, is not just a stadium. It is a sentient arena. Designed with cutting-edge technology, it features an hollow scoreboard and enough sensors to track every cheer and movement of the crowd to optimize the fan experience. This project represents the pinnacle of sports architecture, merging luxury with hyper-connectivity to create the most intense home court advantage in basketball. Its external structure resembles a giant, intricately woven basketball net made of steel and glass, catching the dreams of a city. But the mystery lies in its acoustic design. It is built to amplify sound to a deafening level, creating a wall of noise that can intimidate any opponent. Some say the building itself has a pulse, fueled by the raw, kinetic emotion of the fans. As the neon lights of LA reflect off its futuristic skin, a sense of eerie anticipation hangs in the air. This place is a temple of modern gladiators where the line between athlete and spectator vanishes. Do the cheers we leave behind in these halls ever truly fade away? Rome is a city where the past is layered like a cake, and the expansion of Metroline C is the boldest attempt to slice through its history. This expansion project is a high-stakes gamble, requiring engineers to tunnel deep beneath thousands of years of historical ruins and priceless archaeological sites. To build a modern transit system here, crews must navigate around second-century barracks and ancient marble statues without disturbing a single stone. The technical precision required is equivalent to performing open-heart surgery on a living legend. Visually, the tunnel-boring machine acts like a massive mechanical time traveler, chewing through soil that hasn't seen the light of day since the height of the Roman Empire. It is a metallic worm, burrowing through the collective memory of humanity. Locals believe that the deeper the machines go, the more they stir the ghosts of emperors and centurions who still guard the underground. As the flickering work lights illuminate the damp cavern walls, one cannot help but feel a divine presence lurking in the shadows. Are we building a path for the future, or are we intruding on a sanctuary that was never meant to be found? Why does a modern train station look like a jagged shard of glass pointing toward the future? Rotterdam Central Station is a spectacular architectural statement, featuring a massive, stainless steel-clad roof that slopes dramatically toward the city center. This terminal was designed to handle 110,000 passengers daily, incorporating over 3,000 solar panels into its glass ceiling to become one of the most sustainable transport hubs in Europe. The building's sharp, triangular silhouette looks like a giant silver arrowhead that has been shot into the heart of the Dutch port. It is a symbol of a city that was reborn from the ashes of war, showcasing a relentless drive for innovation. But some say the station's geometry creates strange acoustic pockets where you can hear conversations from the other side of the platform as if they were whispered in your ear. There are warnings that the station's light reflects a future that hasn't arrived yet, casting temporal shadows on the ground. As the sun sets, the building glows with an otherworldly, metallic light. What is the station truly pointing toward? Imagine traveling inside a vacuum, moving faster than the speed of sound while your body remains perfectly still. Hyperloop 1 represents the frontier of transportation, a concept designed to propel passengers in pressurized pods through low-pressure tubes at speeds exceeding 600 miles per hour. By utilizing magnetic levitation and eliminating air resistance, this technology aims to shrink hours of travel into mere minutes. The prototype tracks look like a long, hollow white bone stretching across the desert floor, a futuristic vessel for a world that refuses to wait. It is a bold leap into a sci-fi reality, promising to redefine human geography forever. However, engineers whisper about the vacuum sickness, a disorienting sensation of leaving one's soul behind during the acceleration. There are rumors of ghosts in the machine that appear when the pods hit peak velocity. As the neon lights hum inside the tube, you must ask, are we ready to leave our physical limits behind? Why fly across an island when you can slide through its volcanic mountains at 186 miles per hour? The Taiwan High-Speed Rail, THSR, is a 345-kilometer backbone of steel that connects Taipei to Kaohsiung in just 90 minutes. Built with Japanese Shinkansen technology, the railway traverses over 250 kilometers of viaducts and dozens of tunnels carved through the jagged central mountain range. It is a masterclass in high-speed precision, designed to withstand the frequent earthquakes and typhoons that plague the region. The train looks like a white, aerodynamic needle threading through the emerald green valleys and misty peaks of the island. But at peak velocity, passengers claim the world outside becomes a blur of impossible colors, and time seems to lose its grip. There are rumors of time slips inside the tunnels, where passengers arrive at their destination feeling as though hours or years have passed in minutes. As the silver bullet hisses to a stop, the air outside feels cold and thin. Are we traveling through space, or are we puncturing the fabric of time itself? Expanding the wings of a historic city requires a delicate balance between industrial power and modern grace. The Philadelphia International Airport expansion is a multi-billion-dollar modernization project designed to enhance terminal capacity and transform its cargo facilities into a global logistics hub. This engineering undertaking involves upgrading runways and integrating smart technology to manage the complex flow of millions of passengers and tons of freight. The airport's new structures look like sleek, silver birds poised for flight, their metallic feathers catching the reflection of the Delaware River. It is a symbol of economic ambition and a gateway to the birthplace of American freedom. But within the bustling terminals, there is an echo of the past that never quite fades. Travelers speak of a wind that moves through the corridors even when the doors are shut, carrying the faint scent of old parchment and wood smoke. As the navigation lights blink against the Pennsylvania night, the sky feels like a sacred canopy. Do the prayers of 1,000 travelers ever reach the silence above the clouds? How can a modern glass and steel giant rise from the decaying bones of a Victorian dockland? The Everton Stadium at Bramley Moor Dock is an architectural marvel, costing over $500 million and revitalizing a site that was once the beating heart of Liverpool's global trade. Constructed on a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it required the careful infilling of the historic dock with 480,000 cubic meters of sand to create a stable foundation. The structure looks like a brick and glass fortress rising from the Mersey's murky depths, a silhouette that mirrors the city's rugged industrial past. But why build over such a storied history? Local legends speak of restless spirits of sailors who once hauled cargo on these very stones, their whispers now trapped beneath the concrete foundations. There are warnings that the tide carries more than just water. It carries the weight of 100 lost voyages. As the fog rolls in from the sea, the stadium seems to breathe with a life of its own. Is it a beacon of progress? Or have we silenced a history that refuses to stay buried? Under the turquoise waters of Biscayne Bay, a concrete throat is swallowing the heavy traffic of the Florida coast. The Port Miami Tunnel is a $1 billion project featuring twin tubes buried 120 feet beneath the seabed. Using a massive tunnel boring machine named Harriet, engineers carved through porous limestone to connect the port directly to the highway, bypassing the suffocating downtown congestion. This undersea artery is a marvel of maritime logistics, designed to withstand Category 5 hurricanes and rising sea levels. The interior looks like a sleek, white-tiled artery pulsing with neon lights, a futuristic passage through the wet weight of the Atlantic. The flickering fluorescent beams catch the dampness on the walls, reminding you that a world of salt and scales is just inches away. There is a heavy, rhythmic pressure in the air that hums against the glass of your car. Does the ocean ever truly forgive the machines that pierce its belly? Or is it just waiting for a leak? Don't let the calm surface of the Indus fool you. Beneath the water lies a sleeping giant of earth and stone. The Tarbala Dam is the largest earth-filled dam in the world, standing 485 feet high and stretching nearly 9,000 feet across the Indus River. Completed in 1976, this monumental feat of engineering was designed to harness the wild, silt-heavy currents of the Himalayas to provide irrigation and $4,088 million of power to a developing nation. It looks like a massive prehistoric wall of rock that has been fused into the landscape, a man-made mountain acting as a shield against the river's seasonal fury. But the water here is deep and heavy, with the secrets of ancient valleys now submerged. Local fishermen speak of shimmering lights rising from the depths, claiming the Indus spirits are restless within their concrete cage. As the sun sets, the dam's shadow stretches across the valley like a dark omen. Will the wall hold when the river finally decides to wake? An iron ghost is returning to life in the misty lowlands of Fife, reconnecting a community that time forgot. The Leavenmouth Rail Link is a $116 million project designed to restore passenger services to a region that has been disconnected from the national network for over 50 years. Engineers are laying 5 miles of new double track and constructing modern stations to revitalize the local economy and provide a sustainable alternative to the road. The new railway looks like a silver vein being carefully sewn back into a severed limb, a metallic promise of movement and renewal. It is a symbol of restoration and a testament to the enduring power of rail. However, as the first test, trains glide through the silence. Locals report hearing the rhythmic clatter of phantom steam engines from the 1960s. There are warnings that the tracks have awakened memories that were better left buried. When the blue mist rolls off the Forth, can we ever truly return to where we started? Why does the Narmada River scream when the massive spillway gates are finally thrown open? The Sardar Sarovar Dam is a colossal concrete gravity dam, standing 163 meters high, and is the centerpiece of one of the world's largest irrigation and hydroelectric networks. Built to provide water to millions in the parched states of Gujarat and Rajasthan, the project involved pouring millions of cubic meters of concrete to tame a river considered sacred by millions. The dam looks like a massive, unyielding concrete shield clamped onto the jagged earth, a fortress of industry standing against the flow of time. It is a source of immense national pride and a pillar of survival. But the Narmada Bachao legends speak of the river's wrath for the lands it was forced to drown. When the golden spray rises from the falls, it forms shapes that look like reaching hands. Who truly pays the price for our thirst? Don't get too comfortable in your home, for the ground beneath Karuna is being swallowed by its own wealth. This is the world's largest and most modern iron ore mine, a subterranean titan reaching depths of over 1,300 meters. The expansion of these massive iron veins is so extensive that an entire city is being physically relocated 3 kilometers away to prevent it from falling into the deepening pits. Engineers are moving historic buildings and entire neighborhoods, a logistical feat that costs billions. The mine looks like a dark, industrial city hidden under the Arctic tundra, while the surface appears as a landscape slowly collapsing into a jagged geometric crater. The pale Arctic sun casts long, eerie shadows over the moving houses, where elders claim the Earth Mother is reclaiming her bones. It is a haunting dance between survival and greed. If we move the city, can we also move the memories buried in the soil? Or will they stay behind in the dark? Beware the glare of 3 million mirrors, for the desert sun has found a new way to blind the unwary. The Noor Abu Dhabi solar plant is one of the world's largest standalone solar projects, boasting a capacity of 1.2 GW. Spread across 8 square kilometers of scorching sand, this facility utilizes 3.2 million solar panels to provide clean energy for nearly 90,000 people. From the air, the plant looks like a vast, shimmering blue sea of glass in the middle of a golden wasteland, a geometric ocean that never waves. But the intense heat creates a shimmering distortion that makes the facility appear to float above the ground like a high-tech mirage. Bedouin nomads warn that the panels have stolen the sun's reflection, leaving the surrounding dunes in a state of perpetual hunger. They say the air above the plant vibrates with a sickening hum that can drive a man to madness. If you see the blue light dancing on the horizon, do not follow it. The desert does not like its light being caged. Why dig a massive subterranean void in the heart of West London? The Old Oak Common Station is the most ambitious underground interchange in the UK, serving as the primary hub for the High-Speed 2 (HS2) rail network. This colossal project involves constructing a 14-platform station within a massive reinforced concrete box that is nearly 1 kilometer long. Engineers are excavating 1.3 million cubic meters of earth to create this transport cathedral, which will connect London to the Midlands and beyond. The structure looks like a gargantuan mechanical lung buried beneath the city. Its concrete ribs designed to handle the pulse of 250,000 passengers daily. It is a symbol of British industrial resilience and a bridge to a faster future. However, as the drills bite into the ancient London clay, workers speak of hearing rhythmic metallic echoes that predate the modern railway. There are warnings that the deep earth holds memories of the Industrial Revolution that refuse to be quieted. As the shadows lengthen in the excavation pit, one wonders, are we building a station or a portal for the ghosts of steam and iron? A steel serpent is silently conquering the shifting dunes, stitching the 7 Emirates into a single, unstoppable force. Etihad Rail is a 1,200-kilometer national railway network, a multi-billion-dollar project designed to transform the logistics and transport landscape of the Middle East. Stretching from the border of Saudi Arabia to the shores of Oman, the tracks are engineered to withstand extreme heat and the relentless encroachment of desert sands. The railway looks like a long silver needle threading through a sea of golden velvet, a mechanical marvel in a land of ancient caravans. It represents the pinnacle of Emirati ambition and a bridge to a post-oil future. But the Bedouins speak of desert jinns who guard the empty spaces the tracks now pierce. They say the wind whistling through the train cars carries warnings from the deep desert. As the hazy heat distorts the horizon, what secrets have we buried under the tracks to make this path? Welcome to the edge of the world, where the heat of the Earth's core is enough to boil your blood. Himponing is the deepest man-made hole on Earth, reaching a staggering 4 kilometers below the surface. To keep miners alive in rock temperatures that reach 140 degrees Fahrenheit, a massive ice slurry cooling system pumps millions of gallons of frozen water into the depths every day. The mine looks like a dark, golden-veined labyrinth where the walls groan under the crushing pressure of miles of solid rock. It is a place of brutal industrial beauty and terrifying depths. The dim headlamps reveal a hazy, golden dust dancing in the hot air, like the spirits of a forgotten sun. Local legends speak of the Deep Ones, who guard the gold and demand a toll of sweat and breath. We have stolen the Earth's gold to build our empires, but what have we left behind in the absolute dark? Is the treasure worth the descent into the abyss? Deep beneath the ancient gold veins of South Dakota, scientists are hunting for the invisible ghosts of the universe. The Sanford Underground Research Facility is located 4,950 feet below the surface in the former Homestake Gold Mine, the deepest underground lab in the United States. This site was chosen because the nearly 5,000 feet of rock shield-sensitive experiments from cosmic radiation, allowing researchers to search for dark matter and neutrinos. The facility looks like a dark metallic labyrinth of high-tech caverns carved into the prehistoric crust of the Earth. It is a temple of pure science, where the silence is absolute and the pressure is immense. But the miners who once worked these shafts tell of the knocking, a rhythmic sound from the deep earth that no machine can explain. As the pale LED lights glow in the absolute dark, one feels a sense of being watched by the universe itself. What is looking back at us from the shadows of the earth? A hidden river is flowing silently beneath your feet, carrying the lifeblood of a metropolis through 85 miles of solid rock. The Delaware Aqueduct is the world's longest continuous underground tunnel, a 13.5-foot wide concrete throat that delivers half of New York City's water supply every single day. Carved deep into the bedrock of New York State, this engineering marvel has operated almost constantly since the 1940s, a testament to the invisible infrastructure that sustains millions. The tunnel looks like a wet, endless concrete gullet leading into the dark heart of the earth. It is a masterpiece of hydraulic survival and a secret guarded by the weight of the world above. But the water carries the memory of the valleys and towns that were flooded to create the reservoirs. Some say the flow carries whispers of the displaced, and the walls groan under the pressure of the mountain. If the tunnel ever breaks, will the city drown in its own thirst? Driving through the heart of a mountain should feel like a coffin, but in the Zhongnanshan Tunnel, it feels like a dream you can't escape. This 11-mile engineering feat is the world's longest twin-tube mountain tunnel, cutting through the formidable Qinling Mountains to slash travel times. To prevent driver hypnosis and claustrophobia, the interior features artificial gardens with colored lights, fake plants, and painted clouds on the ceiling. Visually, it looks like a surreal, underground forest, trapped in a concrete tube, a psychedelic path through the belly of a stone titan. It is a masterful use of psychology and engineering to tame the terror of the deep. But the mountain is an ancient dragon that does not like being hollowed out. Drivers speak of seeing extra passengers in their rearview mirrors who vanish when the artificial sunlight hits the glass. As the soft green lights reflect off the windshield, you must ask, is the mountain sleeping, or is it slowly swallowing us whole? How do you listen to the whisper of a particle that doesn't want to be found? The China Jinping Underground Laboratory is the deepest lab on the planet. Buried 2,400 meters beneath a mountain of solid marble. This massive shield of rock filters out cosmic noise, providing the ultra-quiet environment needed to search for dark matter and neutrinos. It is a masterpiece of precision engineering, utilizing high-tech liquid xenon detectors and copper shields to capture the secrets of the universe. The facility looks like a sterile, high-tech fortress of gleaming steel hidden inside a cold, silent stone cathedral. It is a place where science feels like a religious ritual performed in the heart of the world. The flickering blue LEDs reflect off the dark marble walls, creating an atmosphere of profound isolation. When we finally find what hides in the absolute darkness, will it change our understanding of the light? Or are some secrets meant to stay buried under the weight of the mountains? Beware the deep dark of the Yulyan Tunnel, where the Earth presses down on the longest double-track rail path in the world. Stretching 50.3 kilometers and sitting 50 meters below the surface, this tunnel is the backbone of South Korea's high-speed rail network connecting Seoul to the south. Engineers utilized advanced shield tunneling and reinforced concrete to ensure safety in the complex geological layers of the peninsula. The interior looks like a smooth, infinite concrete gullet that swallows the silver trains whole, a high-speed artery pulsing through the planet's crust. It is a triumph of transit efficiency and a symbol of national connectivity. However, passengers often report a strange, rhythmic thumping that syncs with their own heartbeat as they pass the deepest point. There are rumors that the tunnel has tapped into a subterranean pulse that wasn't meant to be disturbed. As the fluorescent strobes flicker past, do the lights lead you home or deeper into the abyss? The Gulf of Mexico is opening its mouth wider as a titan of trade prepares to swallow the giants of the sea. The Port of Houston expansion, known as Project 11, is a massive $1 billion effort to widen and deepen the 52-mile shipping channel. This dredging project allows the latest generation of Neo-Panamax vessels to pass safely, securing Houston's position as a global energy and commerce hub. The dredging ships look like giant mechanical beetles chewing through the silt, leaving a deep, dark scar in the shallow coastal waters. It is a symbol of industrial dominance and the hunger for global connectivity. The amber harbor lights reflect off the churning, muddy water, signaling a future of endless growth and metallic noise. Some say the channel is a hungry ghost that demands constant feeding to stay deep. As we widen the path for our ships, are we also inviting the rising tide into our homes? What happens when the ocean decides it wants its space back? Beneath the Garden City, a hidden network of concrete giants is quietly managing the lifeblood and waste of a nation. Singapore's DTSS is a 10 billion superhighway for water management, featuring tunnels up to 50 meters deep and 12 meters wide. This gravity-driven system uses advanced filtration and massive reclamation plants to recycle water for industrial and domestic use, ensuring the island's survival. The tunnels look like endless gray concrete cathedrals buried in the tropical mud, a silent machinery of survival that never sleeps. It is a triumph of urban engineering over nature's limits. The pale maintenance lights shimmer on the moving water, creating an eerie, subterranean rhythm that sounds like a slow, metallic heartbeat. Some say the tunnels carry the collective memory of the city's hunger. In a nation that never stops growing, what happens when the machines we rely on finally stop breathing? Can we ever truly clean the stains we hide beneath our feet? The iron heart of northern Minnesota has stopped beating, but the deep shafts are far from dead. The Sudan Iron Mine, once the state's oldest and deepest mine, reaches 2,241 feet into the earth, where it has been transformed into a high-energy physics laboratory and a state park. For nearly a century, men tore hematite from these walls, leaving behind a jagged, rusty scar in the Precambrian rock. The mine looks like a dark, metallic wound that never fully healed, its elevators descending into a realm of red dust and cold air. It is a place of transition, where industrial history meets the search for dark matter. But the red dust seems to cling to more than just boots. It clings to the soul. Local legends speak of the Iron Shadows, spirits of miners who still wait for the end of a shift that never came. As the dim cage lights flicker during the long descent, the iron seems to remember the hands that tore it away. A silver dragon is weaving through the foundations of an ancient empire, carrying millions in its metallic belly. The Beijing subway is one of the longest and busiest systems in the world, stretching over 700 kilometers across the capital. Built to handle massive urban density, it features 27 lines and hundreds of stations that integrate ancient city gates with hyper-modern transport hubs. The system looks like a giant, glowing nervous system, pulsing beneath the gray smog of the surface, its trains moving with surgical precision through the dark. It is a symbol of China's meteoric rise and the relentless speed of the modern world. The harsh station lights reflect off the glass doors, capturing the faces of 1,000 strangers in a single, flickering moment. As the dragon roars through the deep tunnels, are we moving toward a glorious future or just circling our own history? What is lost when we move too fast to see the faces of our neighbors? Step into a world where even the air tastes of ancient oceans and the walls are made of translucent gray crystal. The Velichka salt mine is a subterranean city reaching 327 meters deep, carved by hand over 7 long centuries. It features nearly 300 kilometers of tunnels, including the spectacular St. Kinga's Chapel, where every statue, altar, and chandelier is carved entirely from rock salt. It looks like a jagged crystalline palace frozen in time, where the gray salt glistens like petrified starlight against the dark. It is a testament to human faith and endurance in the face of the abyss. The warm glow of the salt chandeliers creates a divine atmosphere in the hollowed earth, making the rock feel alive. There are warnings that the salt remembers every prayer whispered in the dark. If a city can be built from salt and silence, why do we still fear the shadows of the world above? Who truly guards the starlight in the deep? Don't let the mountain peaks deceive you. There is a hole in the heart of the Andes that defies the laws of geography. The Olmos Tunnel is a 20-kilometer engineering marvel designed to transport water from the Amazon basin through the Andes to the parched Pacific coast. It is the second deepest tunnel in the world, sitting beneath 2,000 meters of solid mountain rock and facing extreme rock bursts that claimed lives during construction. The tunnel looks like a dark, wet needle piercing the granite spine of the continent, a silver thread of life in a wall of stone. It is a masterful taming of the mountain's wild spirit. The flickering work lights reveal the jagged, angry rock that was never meant to be opened by human hands. Local shamans warn that the mountain is bleeding its life force through this concrete wound. When we move the water of the gods, do we also move their destiny? Is this progress or a theft from the sky? A journey through the foundations of a colonial jewel requires a delicate balance between the weight of history and the speed of the future. Guadalajara Metro Line 3 is a $1.5 billion urban transformation, stretching 21.5 kilometers to connect the 3 major cities of Zapopan, Guadalajara, and Tlaquepaque. Engineers utilized a massive tunnel boring machine to carve a path directly beneath the city's historic center, navigating carefully around the 400-year-old Guadalajara Cathedral. The system features elevated viaducts and deep subterranean stations, looking like a sleek silver snake winding its way through the terracotta roofs and ancient stone spires of Jalisco. It is a symbol of Mexican modernization and a source of immense local pride. As the trains glide silently through the deep tunnels, the air feels charged with the presence of the old world. Some say the vibrations have awakened echoes of colonial bells that haven't rung in centuries. When the doors hiss open, are you stepping into a new era or a forgotten memory? Do not trust the shifting sands of the Sahara, for they are the keepers of secrets and the swallowers of empires. The Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline is a monumental 2,565-mile energy artery designed to transport 30 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually from the fields of Nigeria through Niger to the Mediterranean coast of Algeria. This multi-billion-dollar project aims to link Africa's vast resources directly to the energy-hungry markets of Europe. Architecturally, the pipeline looks like a buried steel spine crossing the world's largest hot desert, a metallic vein hidden beneath the golden dunes and jagged plateaus. It is a masterpiece of geopolitical engineering and a lifeline for international trade. However, the desert wind whistles through the exposed valves with a haunting, rhythmic moan. Local nomads warn that the steel carries the fire of the earth through the land of the dead. As the heat haze distorts the horizon, one wonders, is this a bridge of light? Or have we disturbed the silence of the dunes for a price we cannot pay? The Durmitor Massif is a geological masterpiece located in the northern part of Montenegro, forming a primary component of the Dinaric Alps. This UNESCO World Heritage Site was shaped through intense tectonic uplift and subsequent glacial erosion during the Pleistocene epoch, resulting in a landscape of dramatic limestone peaks and deep tectonic plateaus. The highest point, Bobatov Kuk, reaches an elevation of 2,522 meters, surrounded by 48 peaks that exceed 2,000 meters in height. Scientists have identified the area as a critical biodiversity hotspot, home to ancient endemic flora, and one of the last primary forests of black pine in Europe. The mountain's structural complexity includes 18 glacial lakes, often referred to as mountain eyes, which sit in high-altitude basins carved by retreating ice. Architecturally, the rugged ridges and jagged limestone spires look like a massive, silver-toothed crown resting upon a velvet bed of emerald forests. It is a site of immense scientific prestige and national pride, representing the raw, unyielding power of the Balkan interior. The local Highlanders speak of Durmitor with a sense of ancestral reverence, considering the peaks to be the physical manifestation of the Earth's endurance. They maintain a quiet belief that the mountain provides a spiritual anchor for for the entire region, shielding the valleys from the chaos of the outside world. As the setting sun bathes the limestone faces in a brilliant golden glow, the peaks appear to radiate a divine energy that has persisted for millions of years. This golden aura reflects the presence of the mountain spirits who, according to legend, watch over the shepherds in the high pastures. Does the mountain ever truly sleep? Or is it a silent witness to every age of man? Can a concrete scar ever truly heal? Or is the city's heart permanently encased in gray stone? The Los Angeles River Revitalization is a multi-decade project aimed at transforming a 51-mile concrete flood control channel into a lush, green urban oasis. Originally paved over in the 1930s, this massive infrastructure effort now involves removing thousands of tons of concrete to restore natural ecosystems and create vibrant public spaces. The project looks like a long gray ribbon slowly turning into an emerald path, a surgical restoration of the city's original lifeblood. It is a symbol of ecological rebirth and a testament to the resilience of nature in a concrete jungle. But as the water begins to flow over real stones once again, some claim the river is beginning to remember its ancient, wild rhythm. There are whispers that the spirits of the valley are returning to the banks at twilight. Will the city finally learn to listen to the water? Or is the concrete too deep for the soul to reach? Lovćen National Park is the spiritual and historical heart of Montenegro, centered around the majestic Mount Lovćen, which rises abruptly from the Adriatic coast. The park is dominated by two massive basalt and limestone peaks, Štěrovnik at 1,649 meters and Jezerski Vrh at 1,657 meters. It is most famous for housing the Njegoš Mausoleum, the highest perched sepulchre in the world, which was engineered using over 460 stone steps to reach the summit of Jezerski Vrh. This site commemorates Petar X Petrovich Njegoš, the prince bishop and poet, who is considered the father of Montenegrin identity. Geologically, the park represents a transition zone between Mediterranean and continental climates, resulting in a unique intersection of diverse floral species. The landscape is characterized by deep depressions, rocky outcrops, and uvulas, typical of the Dinaric karst. From the summit, the view of the Bay of Kotor and the surrounding mountains looks like a giant petrified stone ocean frozen in a state of eternal turbulence. For Montenegrins, Lovchen is more than a park. It is a monument to freedom and the unyielding spirit of their ancestors. There is immense pride in the fact that this mountain remained an unconquered fortress throughout centuries of conflict. As the afternoon light hits the gray stone of the mausoleum, the structure glows with a stoic silver brilliance that commands absolute respect. Local legends suggest that the mountain is the throne of the sky, where the wind carries the whispers of kings to the heavens. If the stone is the memory of the nation, what future is it currently carving for us in the clouds? Where the deep blue of the Arabian Sea meets the golden dust of a rising empire, a titan of trade is waking up. The Gwadar Port expansion is a critical $1.6 billion strategic link in the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, designed to transform a quiet fishing village into one of the world's most important deep-sea gateways. This massive infrastructure project involved reclaiming vast areas of coastline and constructing towering quay cranes to handle the world's largest container ships. The port looks like a giant concrete hand reaching out from the rugged Makran coast, ready to grasp the flow of global commerce. It is a beacon of economic hope and a pillar of maritime dominance in the 21st century. But as the tide crashes against the new breakwaters, the local sailors speak of the old Sea King, who demands respect from the iron intruders. There are warnings that the waves carry the scent of distant gold and forgotten storms. Is this a gateway to prosperity, or a fortress built on shifting tides? How do you build glass giants on top of a heartbeat that never stops? The Manhattan West Project is a spectacular 8 million square foot urban development built directly over the active railroad tracks leading into Penn Station. To create a foundation, engineers constructed a massive high-strength concrete platform over the roaring trains, allowing 5 skyscrapers and a public plaza to rise where once there was only a void. The project looks like a cluster of translucent glass titans standing on a platform of steel nerves, their silver skins reflecting the chaotic energy of New York City. It is a triumph of structural engineering and a masterpiece of modern urban density. But beneath the polished marble floors, the rhythmic thunder of the trains below creates a constant, low-frequency vibration. Some say the buildings are dreaming of the iron paths they guard, their glass eyes watching the city with a restless, metallic intensity. In a city that never sleeps, have we built a sanctuary or a monument to the relentless motion of the human soul? Above ground is a historic palace of brick. Below is a futuristic labyrinth of water, glass, and constant movement. The renovation of Amsterdam Central is a masterpiece of undergrounding, involving the construction of a new metro station and a massive underwater bicycle parking facility. Engineers had to stabilize the 19th century structure built on thousands of wooden piles, while carving new tunnels through the soft, treacherous North Sea silt. The station looks like a Victorian crown sitting atop a high-tech glass and water hive, a bridge between two different centuries. It is a testament to Dutch resilience against the encroaching sea. The cool white light of the new tunnels reflects off the historic stones, creating a bridge of light between eras. However, the water whispers through the foundations at night, a reminder of the fragility of the land. Can a city built on water ever truly find its solid ground? Or are we just floating on a beautiful, metallic dream? Stay away from the shoreline of the Black Lake when the moon is high, for the shadows of the Dermiter Forest have a hunger that the water cannot satisfy. Known locally as Curno Jezero, this glacial lake sits at an altitude of 1,416 meters. Its deep, dark waters fed by the melting snows of the surrounding limestone peaks. The lake is divided into two parts, the Big Lake and the Little Lake, connected by a narrow strait that dries up in the summer, looking like a giant, lidless eye staring up from the abyss. The water appears black, not because of its clarity, but because of the dense, towering canopy of black pines that cast an eternal shadow over the surface. It is a place of cold, suffocating silence, where the depth reaches nearly 50 meters, hiding the remnants of ancient trees and forgotten paths. Local shepherds warn that the lake is a mountain eye that sees into the souls of those who dare to swim in its freezing depths. There are rumors of a phantom monastery that appears on the surface when the mist is thick, its bells ringing with a sound that causes the heart to stop. They say the water is so cold it can freeze your breath before you can scream for help. As the twilight fades, the lake reflects a sky that feels millions of miles away, leaving you alone in a hollow of stone and shadow. If you see your reflection smiling back when you are not, run. What is waiting beneath the black glass for the forest to give up its secrets? Lake Skater stands as the largest lake in the Balkan Peninsula, acting as a critical transboundary ecosystem between Montenegro and Albania. This karstic lake is a hydrological marvel, characterized by its fluctuating surface area, which expands from 370 to 530 square kilometers depending on seasonal rainfall and snowmelt from the surrounding limestone mountains. Formed by the dissolution of limestone bedrock over millions of years, the lake is famous for its sublacustrine springs, or OK, which discharge fresh water from deep underground aquifers directly into the lakebed. It is one of Europe's top bird sanctuaries, providing a vital nesting ground for the rare Dalmatian pelican and over 270 other avian species. Historically, the lake has served as a strategic frontier, evidenced by the numerous medieval island monasteries and fortresses that dot its waters. Visually, the vast expanse of the lake, covered in blankets of floating water lilies and surrounded by karst peaks, looks like a giant shimmering mosaic of sapphire and emerald. The people of the region hold the lake in high esteem as a symbol of life and historical resilience, viewing its waters as a sacred link between their shared pasts. Local traditions emphasize the lake's role as a provider, where the rhythm of fishing and the flow of the water dictate the pace of existence. As the morning mist lifts from the surface, the water sparkles with a pearlescent light that gives the landscape a dreamlike, ethereal quality. It is said that the spirits of the lake dwell within the deepest springs, guarding the ancient secrets of the Balkan tribes. If the water could speak, would it tell us the true origin of our history? The Moracha River is not a path for the faint of heart, for it is a turquoise blade that has spent eons cutting a jagged path through the limestone heart of Montenegro. Its canyon is one of the deepest and most treacherous in Europe, with sheer cliffs that drop hundreds of meters into a swirling emerald vortex. Near the river stands the 13th century Moracha Monastery, a sanctuary of ancient frescoes and silent monks, built in 1252 to guard the sacred waters. The engineering required to navigate this canyon is terrifying. The narrow, winding roads cling to the rock faces like fragile spider webs, offering a constant view of the abyss below. Visually, the river looks like a glowing, liquid gemstone, trapped at the bottom of a dark, stony throat. However, the beauty is a mask for a deadly current that has claimed countless souls over the centuries. Locals whisper about the weeping stones of the canyon, rocks that bleed water even in the height of summer, said to be the tears of those lost to the river's hunger. There are warnings that the monastery's bells ring by themselves during the great floods, a signal that the river spirits are rising to reclaim the land. As the mist rises from the cold water, it takes the shape of hooded figures walking along the jagged edges. Do not look too closely at the white foam of the rapids, or you might see the faces of the drowned looking back. Is the river a path to salvation, or is it a hungry God that demands a constant sacrifice of stone and spirit? Don't let the serene surface of Lake Toplitz deceive you, for its ink-black depths hold a darkness that oxygen cannot reach. Located high in the Austrian Alps, this lake is a limnological anomaly. Below 20 meters, the water contains no oxygen and is highly saline, creating a dead zone that preserves everything it swallows. This unique chemistry made it the perfect hiding place for the Nazi regime. Which used the lake as a testing site for naval weapons and allegedly dumped a fortune in counterfeit currency and secret documents into its abyss as the war collapsed. Over the decades, numerous divers have lost their lives attempting to uncover the lake's hoard. Fueling rumors of a cursed treasure that demands a blood sacrifice. The lake sits nestled between sheer limestone cliffs, looking like a dark, ink-filled chalice waiting to be tipped over. It is a place of heavy, suffocating silence, where the shadows of the surrounding pines never seem to move. Locals warn that the lake has a memory for greed, and that those who seek its gold never return the same, if they return at all. As the pale moonlight reflects off the stagnant surface, the water takes on a leaden, metallic sheen that feels cold even to the eyes. There are stories of ghostly lights dancing above the deepest parts of the lake, believed to be the spirits of the soldiers who guard the secrets of the Third Reich. Will the lake ever give back what it stole? Or is it a vault that was never meant to be opened? Stand at the edge of the world where the white bone of England meets the gray hunger of the English Channel, and feel the weight of 10 million years pressing against your heels. The White Cliffs of Dover are a geological masterpiece of the Cretaceous period, composed primarily of soft, fine-grained white chalk formed by the skeletal remains of coccolithophores, microscopic algae that lived in ancient seas. Reaching heights of over 110 meters and stretching for 13 kilometers, these cliffs have served as a natural fortress and a beacon of hope for centuries. The brilliant white face is periodically interrupted by horizontal bands of dark flint, creating a rhythmic pattern of geological time. Visually, the cliffs look like a colossal porcelain wall rising from the sea, a jagged ghost of an ancient ocean floor thrust into the sky. It is a site of immense historical prestige, guarding the narrowest part of the channel against the tides of invasion and time. For the British people, the cliffs are the symbolic white gates of their home, representing resilience and eternal vigilance. Local stories whisper of the spirits of sailors who haunt the base of the cliffs, their voices carried up by the crashing waves on stormy nights. They believe the chalk absorbs the memories of every departure and every return, glowing with a soft, phosphorescent light under a full moon. As the sun dips below the horizon, the white face turns a ghostly silver, reflecting the restless energy of the water below. Is the cliff a wall of protection, or is it slowly crumbling into the sea to reclaim its watery origins? What secrets will the chalk reveal when the last stone falls? Climb the 272 rainbow steps toward the yawning mouth of the limestone titan, but be prepared to leave your worldly ego at the base of the Golden God. The Batu Caves are a 400 million-year-old limestone hill located near Kuala Lumpur, serving as one of the most important Hindu shrines outside of India. The entrance is guarded by a colossal, 42.7-meter tall golden statue of Lord Murugan, which took 3 years and 300 liters of gold paint to complete. The interior of the main cathedral cave features soaring ceilings draped with stalactites, illuminated by natural skylights that pierce the limestone roof. This sacred site is the center of the annual Thaipusam festival, where thousands of devotees carry ornate kavadis and perform acts of penance in a trance-like state. Visually, the caves look like the massive, ornate throat of a stone dragon, its insides decorated with intricate shrines and dancing shadows. It is a place where the humidity of the tropical rainforest meets the cool, damp air of the ancient earth, creating an atmosphere of heavy spiritual intensity. Pilgrims believe that ascending the stairs is a symbolic journey toward enlightenment. shedding sins, with every step taken under the watchful eyes of the monkeys. As the shafts of sunlight cut through the cavern's incense smoke, the cave feels like a divine cathedral where the earth itself is praying. The monkeys chatter like guardians of a secret knowledge we have forgotten. If the stones could whisper the prayers of 1,000,000 devotees, would we be able to handle the weight of the light? The Dermator Massif is a jagged limestone crown that pierces the clouds of northern Montenegro, a fortress of silver stone that has survived the carving hands of ancient glaciers. As a centerpiece of the Dinaric Alps, this UNESCO World Heritage Site features 48 peaks exceeding 2,000 meters, with the formidable Bobatov Kuk standing as its highest point at 2,522 meters. The mountain's complex geology is a record of tectonic thrusts and glacial retreats, creating a landscape of deep canyons, high-altitude cirques, and uvalas. The Tara River Canyon, the deepest in Europe, slices through the massif's edge like a turquoise blade through granite. Visually, the mountain looks like a massive, petrified wave of gray marble frozen in mid-crash, its base wrapped in a dark velvet skirt of black pine and spruce forests. It is a site of immense scientific prestige, preserving rare alpine flora and the elusive Balkan chamois within its rocky folds. Local Highlanders speak of the Vilas, mountain nymphs who dwell in the hidden caves and guard the purity of the 18 glacial lakes. They believe the mountain is a sentient being that judges the intent of those who climb its ridges, rewarding the humble and punishing the arrogant with sudden mists. As the alpenglow bathes the limestone faces in a brilliant, fiery crimson, the peaks appear to radiate a sacred power that has endured for millions of years. It is a place where the scale of nature makes human ambition look like dust. If the mountain is the memory of the earth, what is it trying to tell us about the weight of the sky? Do not stare too long into the depths of the Black Lake, for the mountain eye sees deeper into you than you can ever see into its dark, freezing heart. Located in Dermator National Park, Kurno Jezero is a glacial lake fed by the melting snows of the surrounding limestone peaks. Its water, a deep emerald black that hides a depth of nearly 50 meters. The lake is surrounded by a dense, suffocating forest of black pines that cast an eternal shadow over the surface, making the water appear like a pool of ink, even in the midday sun. It is a place of absolute, heavy silence, broken only by the sound of the Shalina waterfall during the spring, which thunders into the lake from the cliffs above. Visually, the lake looks like a dark, liquid chalice resting at the foot of the jagged peaks, a mirror that reflects a sky that feels millions of miles away. Local shepherds warn that the lake is a portal to another realm, where a sunken monastery lies at the bottom, its bells still ringing during the great floods. They believe the water is so cold it can steal your breath and keep it forever, a price for trespassing in the sanctuary of the forest. As the moon rises and turns the surface into a sheet of leaden glass, the shadows of the pines seem to walk upon the water. If you see a reflection that isn't yours, do not wait to see where it leads. What is the lake waiting for in the silence of the black pines? Do not dare to outrun the shifting shadows of the Countertall Glacier, for the mountain here is a slow-moving god that does not recognize the rights of men. The Countertall Valley is home to one of the most spectacular high alpine roads in Europe, climbing to an elevation of 2,150 meters and cutting directly through layers of prehistoric rock and perpetual ice. This geological corridor was carved over millennia by the retreat of massive glaciers, leaving behind a steep-walled sanctuary of granite and metamorphic stone. The engineering feat of the Glacier Road involves 29 hairpin turns that navigate terrain constantly in motion, where the asphalt must be reinforced every year to survive the crushing weight of the snow. Visually, the valley looks like a giant deep-set wound in the Earth's crust, with the white glacier at the end appearing like a frozen blue tongue licking the side of a gray titan. It is a place of raw, unshielded nature where the air is so thin it feels like glass in your lungs. Local legends tell of the White Lady of Countertall, a spirit who wanders the ice fields, searching for those who disrespect the silence of the heights. There are warnings that the wind through the valley carries a high-pitched scream that isn't made by air, but by the grinding of ancient stones beneath the ice. As the blue shadows of the peaks stretch across the valley floor at twilight, the temperature drops with a violent suddenness. If you hear the ice cracking beneath your feet, do not look back. The mountain is reclaiming its own, and it does not leave footprints for the living. Will you be gone before the ice reaches the road? Forget the Grand Canyon. This is the copper heart of the Sierra Madre, and its depths are far more secretive. The Copper Canyon, or Barrancas del Cobre, is a series of 6 massive canyons that are 4 times larger than their American counterpart. Formed over millions of years by tectonic shifts and volcanic activity, this rugged landscape is the ancestral home of the Raramuri people, the legendary long-distance runners. The canyons look like deep, jagged copper scars cutting through ancient pine forests and sheer granite walls, a vertical world of immense scale. It is a place of raw, unyielding power, where the wind carries the scent of resin and old stone. As the sunset hits the canyon rim, the walls glow with a fiery metallic brilliance that feels like the earth is burning from within. The Raramuri believe the canyons are alive and that the spirits of the wind guard the hidden paths. When the silence becomes absolute, do you hear the mountain breathing? Where the mountain mist hides the secrets of the ancients, you must walk softly, for the spirits here are never truly asleep. San Cristobal de las Casas is a colonial city nestled in the Chiapas highlands, a cultural crossroads where Tzotzil and Celtal traditions blend with Spanish architecture. Built in the 16th century, the city serves as a gateway to the indigenous villages where ancient Maya rituals are still practiced inside candlelit churches. The city looks like a sea of red-tiled roofs, piercing through white mountain clouds, its cobblestone streets leading toward ornate yellow cathedrals. It is a place of heavy incense smoke and rhythmic chants that vibrate in the cool, thin air. As the twilight settles, the cathedrals glow with a warm, amber light that feels both welcoming and mysterious. Local shamans warn that the mountain shadows carry the prayers of the ancestors. If the mist swallows the plaza, will you find your way back to the modern world? Beneath the vibrant colors of this colonial jewel lies a labyrinth that remembers the silver and the dead. Guanajuato is a UNESCO World Heritage City, built on the immense wealth of 16th century silver mines like La Valenciana. Because it sits in a narrow valley, engineers carved an incredible network of underground tunnels, originally for flood control, now used for traffic. The city looks like a brilliant kaleidoscope of houses spilled over the hills, while the dark tunnels below resemble the winding, digestive system of a stone beast. It is a place of heavy history and romantic shadows, where the air in the tunnels feels cool and metallic. As the street lamps flicker in the narrow Alley of the Kiss, the stones glow with a golden, nostalgic light. Local legends say the ghosts of miners still haunt the subterranean paths, their silver picks echoing in the silence. If you hear a whisper in the tunnels, is it the wind or a soul seeking the light? Beware the massive concrete curve of the Musserboden Dam, for it is a gray shield holding back the weight of a trapped ocean 2,040 meters above the world. This double-arch reservoir is a titan of post-war Austrian engineering, nestled deep within the high Tauern Mountains near Kaprun. The dam stands 107 meters high, creating a sapphire blue lake fed by the melting waters of the Pasterze Glacier. To build this structure, thousands of workers labored in extreme alpine conditions, carving roads into vertical cliffs and pouring millions of cubic meters of concrete into the mountain's heart. The reservoir is a critical source of hydroelectric power, representing a triumph of human ingenuity over the raw forces of the Alps. Visually, the dam looks like a giant man-made ribcage of gray stone connecting two jagged peaks, a stark geometric interruption in a world of wild ice and granite. However, the air around the reservoir is heavy, with a low-frequency hum, a mechanical vibration that echoes through the concrete and into the soul. Local legends warn that the glacier spirits are restless behind the wall, their cold anger vibrating in the water as they wait to reclaim the valley. They say the dam groans during the spring thaw because it is tired of holding back the memory of the ice. As the sun sets and the water turns a deep, bruised purple, the dam stands as a silent sentinel between civilization and the abyss. What happens to the mountain soul when it is caged by human pride? The smoking mountain is breathing, and the entire heart of Mexico is listening to its rhythmic, volcanic heartbeat. Popocatépetl is one of the most active stratovolcanoes in the world, standing 5,426 meters tall as a jagged sentinel over Mexico City and Puebla. Formed by the subduction of tectonic plates, This snowy titan has been a source of both terror and life for the civilizations that have lived in its shadow for millennia. The volcano looks like a massive silver-crowned giant wearing a permanent scarf of gray ash and sulfurous steam, a symbol of raw, primordial power. It is a site of Aztec legend, said to be a warrior forever watching over his sleeping lover, Iztaccíhuatl. As the sun hits the snowy peak, the volcano glows with a divine golden intensity that masks the fire below. Local people believe the mountain demands respect, and that the ash is a reminder of the Earth's fragility. If the smoke turns to fire, are we ready to face the warrior? Step into the White City, where the limestone reflects the sun and the Maya royalty still walks in the cool of the evening. Mérida was built in 1542 on the ruins of the ancient Maya city of Tol, using the carved stones of old temples to construct colonial mansions and cathedrals. As the capital of the Yucatan, it remains a bastion of elegance, where the scent of jasmine mixes with the salty breeze of the Gulf. The city looks like a collection of pale limestone palaces, glowing like ghosts under the shade of giant palm trees. It is a place of tropical prestige and quiet pride, where the pace of life is dictated by the midday heat. As the evening music begins in the main plaza, the white facades glow with a soft silver light that feels like a memory from a different century. Local legends say the spirits of the Maya lords still watch over the limestone walls. If the stones could speak, would they tell us whose city this really is? Look at the horizon and tell me if you are dreaming in pink or if the sea has finally decided to reveal its true heart. Las Coloradas is a small fishing village in the Yucatan, famous for its massive salt evaporation ponds that turn a brilliant bubblegum pink. This surreal color is caused by high concentrations of red-colored halobacteria and brine shrimp that thrive in the salty environment. The ponds look like a series of vibrant pink mirrors laid out against a blindingly white shore of salt crystals and a deep blue sky. It is a masterpiece of industrial nature, where the ancient practice of salt harvesting creates a landscape of impossible color. As the flamingos gather in the pink shallows, the water glows with a soft, neon brilliance that feels like a desert mirage. Local salt workers believe the pink water is a gift from the sun, a seasonal magic that sustains the village. If the pink fades to gray, has the earth lost its joy? Beware the colossal wall of the Musserboden Reservoir, for the weight of 160 million cubic meters of water is a burden that the mountains groan to carry. Standing 107 meters high at an altitude of 2,040 meters, this double-arch dam is a titan of hydraulic engineering nestled within the high Tauern Range. Built during the post-war era, the construction claimed the lives of hundreds of workers who battled extreme alpine conditions and vertical rock faces. The reservoir is fed by the melting glaciers of the Pasteurs, creating a body of water so deep and cold that it feels like a piece of the Arctic trapped in Austria. Visually, the massive concrete curve of the dam looks like a giant gray shield held up by the mountains to stop a blue flood from swallowing the valleys below. However, the sheer scale of the project creates an eerie atmosphere of artificial dominance over nature. Travelers speak of a low-frequency hum that vibrates through the concrete, a sound that mimics a mechanical heartbeat echoing in the silence of the peaks. Locals warn that the water spirits of the glaciers are trapped behind the wall, their anger manifesting as the sudden, violent storms that lash the dam. As the sun dips below the jagged horizon, the water turns a deep, bruised purple, reflecting a sky that seems heavy with the threat of ice. What happens to the soul when it is held back by a wall of human pride? One of the world's largest monoliths is watching your every move, a jagged stone finger pointing toward the heavens and the stars. The Peña de Bernal is a massive rock formation rising 433 meters above a colorful Pueblo Mágico, formed 65 million years ago by the cooling of a volcanic core. Geologists recognize it as one of the tallest monoliths on the planet, a solid mass of dacite that has survived the erosion of eons. The rock looks like a giant gray-green tooth erupting from the rolling hills of Querétaro, a stoic guardian of the high plateau. It is a place of immense energetic prestige, where people gather to harness the cosmic vibrations said to emanate from the stone. As the sun sets behind the peak, the monolith glows with a deep spiritual purple that feels like a silent prayer. Local legends say the rock grants longevity to those who live in its shadow. When the wind whistles through the crags, is the stone talking to the sky? A city of 365 churches stands between the fire of volcanoes and the blue of the sky, draped in a skin of colored clay. Puebla is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, world-renowned for its Talavera pottery and its spectacular fusion of Spanish Baroque and indigenous artistry. The city's historic center is covered in millions of hand-painted tiles, reflecting a craftsmanship that has been passed down through generations since the 16th century. Visually, the city looks like a sea of blue, yellow, and white tiles shimmering like fallen stars against the red brick of the cathedrals. It is a place of divine prestige and architectural perfection, where every corner holds a secret of the soul. As the bells of the great cathedral ring at noon, the tiled walls glow with an iridescent brilliance that feels like a heavenly light. Local artisans believe that every tile carries a piece of the potter's spirit. If a tile breaks, does a memory vanish from the world? Walk silently into the pitch-black heart of Nanakamilpa's forest, for 1,000 unblinking eyes are waiting for your arrival. Between June and August, the Oyamel fir forests of Tlaxcala become the mating ground for the Macrolampus palaciosi firefly, a rare species that glows in perfect synchronicity. This natural phenomenon is driven by the region's unique humidity and altitude, creating a bioluminescent event found in few other places on Earth. The forest floor looks like a rhythmic constellation of green stars that has fallen onto the damp pine needles, a pulsing carpet of light that defies the logic of the night. The flickering emerald glow is said to be the forest spirits whispering ancient secrets to the trees, celebrating a cycle of life that predates humanity. Some locals believe the lights guide lost souls back to the earth for one night of celebration. As the lights pulse in the heavy silence, one must ask, are we the audience, or are we the ones being watched by the darkness? Stare into the lagoon of 7 colors and tell me if you are looking at water or a liquid sapphire dream. Bacalar is a narrow, 42-kilometer-long freshwater lake in the southern Yucatan, famous for its striking gradients of blue and its ancient stromatolites, the oldest living organisms on Earth. Historically, this lagoon was a secret path for pirates and a sacred source of life for the Maya, who named it for the reeds that line its shore. The water looks like a vibrant palette of turquoise, cobalt, and cyan, a crystal dragon sleeping amidst the dense, dark jungle. It is a site of profound biological prestige, representing the Earth's first breath and the purity of the primordial world. As the morning sun hits the shallow flats, the lagoon glows with a divine, iridescent brilliance. Local legends speak of the 7 souls of the water, each guarding a different shade of blue. If the colors ever fade to gray, has the world lost its heartbeat? Do not look up at the sheer limestone walls, for the vertical scar of the gods is a weight the soul was never meant to carry. Sumidero Canyon is a geological titan in Chiapas, where cliffs rise to 1,000 meters above the Grijalva River, formed by tectonic rifts millions of years ago. The canyon is a vertical laboratory of life, featuring the Christmas tree waterfall and a diverse ecosystem hidden in its narrow, sunless depths. The structure looks like a jagged stone throat leading to the center of the world, an emerald ribbon of water trapped at the bottom of a gray abyss. It is a place of raw, unyielding power, and the echoes of ancient cries from those who chose the abyss over surrender. As the mist rises from the cold river at dawn, the canyon walls glow with a stoic silver light, They say the mountain remembers every name whispered into the wind. If the earth ever closes this wound, will we remember the depth? Climb the hill of the Great Pyramid, but do not be fooled by the church on top, for a titan is buried beneath your feet. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, or Tlachihualtepetl, is the largest pyramid by volume in the world, largely hidden under a layer of earth and vegetation. At its summit sits the golden domed church of Nuestra Señora de los Remedios, a symbol of the collision between the Spanish conquest and the ancient Maya and Toltec faiths. The structure looks like a massive green mountain, wearing a crown of Spanish gold, a stone giant sleeping under a blanket of flowers and grass. It is a site of absolute religious prestige and underground power, where miles of tunnels reveal the secrets of the old gods. As the sun sets behind the volcanoes, the church glows with a divine, fiery light. Some say the pyramid groans because it wants to shed its skin of earth. Which god truly rules the peak of the mountain? How can a single spire of rock and ice hold the weight of an entire nation's identity while threatening to collapse under the gaze of the sun? The Grossglockner is Austria's highest peak, standing at 3,798 meters, a pyramid of dark granite and brilliant white snow that dominates the Hohe Tauern National Park. The mountain is home to the Pasterze, the longest glacier in the Eastern Alps, which is currently retreating at an alarming rate, leaving behind a jagged landscape of raw earth and melting history. The Grossglockner High Alpine Road, a masterpiece of 1930s engineering, wins its way up the mountain with 36 hairpin bends, offering a view of the abyss that can freeze the heart of the bravest driver. Visually, the peak looks like a giant jagged tooth of a primordial beast aiming for the throat of the sky. But why does the summit feel so heavy with the presence of those who never returned from its heights? Climbers speak of a third man phenomenon, a phantom guide who appears during blizzards to lead the lost toward the edge instead of safety. There are warnings that the mountain's shadow is so long it can touch the soul before it touches the ground. As the crimson light of the alpenglow fades into the cold blue of night, the mountain stands as a silent sentinel over a dying glacier. Are we witnessing the birth of a new world or the final breath of an old one? Stand at land's end, where the world stops, and listen to the roar of two oceans fighting for the soul of the desert. Cabo San Lucas is defined by El Arco, a magnificent natural stone arch carved by the relentless collision of the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Cortez. This jagged granite formation marks the end of the Baja Peninsula, a geological punctuation mark at the edge of the abyss. The arch looks like a golden stone gate standing in a turquoise void, a jagged finger of the earth pointing toward the unknown horizon. It is a place of supreme maritime prestige and wild crashing energy, where the whales breach in the shadow of the cliffs. As the sun dips below the horizon, the golden rock glows with a final fiery intensity before being swallowed by the cold blue night. Sailors say this is the final threshold where the living world ends. What lies beyond the arc of the world? Dive into the unblinking eye of the earth, but beware of the silence that waits in the dark. The cenotes are natural sinkholes formed by the collapse of limestone bedrock, revealing a vast, interconnected subterranean world of crystal-clear groundwater. For the ancient Maya, these thousands of watery pits were the primary source of life in a land without rivers, but they served a darker purpose as well. The water looks like a liquid sapphire trapped in a stone throat, with ancient tree roots reaching down from the surface like thirsty, skeletal fingers. It is a masterpiece of geological patience and a gateway to the prehistoric past. Local legends warn that these pools are the entrance to Xibalba, the Maya underworld, where the gods of death still demand respect. As the noon sun pierces the opening, a divine shaft of light illuminates the floating dust, making the water glow with a haunting, electric brilliance. What is the abyss trying to tell you in the absolute cold? Never underestimate the quiet of a cornfield, for the earth can give birth to a monster in a single afternoon. Paricutin is a cinder cone volcano that famously began erupting in 1943, rising directly out of a farmer's field and growing to 424 meters in just 9 years. Its birth buried 2 entire villages in a relentless flow of basaltic lava, leaving only the lonely spire of a church sticking out from the black stone. The volcano looks like a jagged, scaly dragon, made of petrified ash and smoke, a dark monument to the sudden violence of the Earth's crust. It is a site of immense geological prestige, being the first time modern science could witness the entire life cycle of a volcano. As the ashy wind whistles through the porous rock, the landscape glows with a somber, metallic light. They say the mountain still carries the heat of the fire that consumed the homes of thousands. Will the dragon ever truly sleep? Clap your hands at the base of the Great Pyramid and listen as the stone echoes with the cry of a sacred bird. Chichen Itza was a pre-Columbian city built by the Maya, centered around the spectacular temple of Kukulkan, a 30-meter tall limestone clock that tracks the movements of the stars. With 365 steps and precise alignments, the pyramid serves as a testament to an astronomical intelligence that rivals modern technology. The structure looks like a massive geometric crown rising from the flat jungle floor. Its gray stones carved with the images of feathered serpents and warriors. It is a place of absolute historical prestige, where the shadow of a snake descends the stairs during every equinox. As the twilight settles over the great ball court, the temples glow with a ghostly silver light that feels like a divine vibration. The ancestors whisper that the serpent god still guards the calendar of time. Are you ready for the next age? Find the ocean hidden in the desert, but do not trust the horizon, for the dunes of Lençóis Maranhenses are a labyrinth of white silk and sapphire dreams. Located on the northern coast of Brazil, this 155,000-hectare park is a geological anomaly. It looks like a desert, but it receives too much rainfall to be classified as one. The landscape is composed of vast, undulating dunes of blindingly white quartz sand, which are shaped by constant Atlantic winds. During the rainy season, fresh water collects in the valleys between the dunes, creating thousands of crystal-clear turquoise lagoons that are trapped by an impermeable layer of rock below the sand. Visually, the park looks like a field of white bedsheets, lençóis, crumpled across the earth, punctuated by sparkling sapphire jewels. It is a place of surreal, monochromatic beauty, where the wind is the only architect and the landscape shifts with every season. Local communities speak of the lagoons as a gift from the sky, a seasonal miracle that brings fish and life to a barren world. They believe the dunes are the waves of a petrified ocean, waiting for the moon to turn them back into water. As the sun sets over the white crests, the sand glows with a soft, pearlescent light, and the lagoons turn a deep, spiritual blue. But the mirages are many, and the heat is relentless. Have you found a paradise? Or has the desert finally tricked your mind into seeing what it wants to see? Follow the magnetic pull toward the edge of the world, where the turtles return to the sea under a violet moon. Mazunte is a pueblo mágico on the Oaxacan coast, famous for its turtle conservation center and the sacred cliffs of Punta Comeda. This geographical point is the southernmost tip of the state, where the magnetic currents of the Earth are said to be at their most intense. The coastline looks like a golden crescent of sand tucked between the crashing Emerald Pacific and the jagged cactus-covered hills. It is a place of serene, hippie prestige and ancient maritime rhythms, where the sunset is a daily ritual of silence. As the sky turns a deep, bruised purple over the water, the cliffs glow with a soft spiritual light that feels like a healing balm. Local legends say the point is a sanctuary where the land and sky trade secrets. If you lose your way here, will the horizon show you the way home? Let the liquid turquoise wash away the heat of the jungle, but do not forget that the water carries the spirit of the mountains. The Cascadas de Agua Azul are a series of limestone waterfalls in Chiapas, where the high mineral content of the Xenil River creates a striking, vibrant blue color. Over thousands of years, the water has deposited thick layers of calcium carbonate, forming a staircase of sapphire pools and rushing white foam. The falls look like a necklace of liquid jewels draped over the lush green velvet of the rainforest, a masterpiece of tropical hydrology. It is a sight of raw, natural prestige, where the roar of the water drowns out the chaos of the modern world. As the morning mist rises from the turquoise basins, the water glows with a divine, iridescent brilliance that feels like a liquid prayer. Local shamans believe the river is a cleansing force for the soul. If the blue turns to gray, has the mountain lost its heart? Why does the air in Vorarlberg feel like it is vibrating with a secret that the rest of the world has forgotten? Located in the westernmost corner of Austria, this mountainous province is a masterclass in the harmony between avant-garde architecture and ancient alpine tradition. Known for its Bregenzerwald style, the region utilizes silver fir and sophisticated timber engineering to create buildings that seem to grow directly out of the steep emerald slopes. However, the perfection of the landscape is so absolute that it feels almost staged, a beautiful mask for the deep, sunless valleys where the old mountain laws still apply. The winding roads through the Arlberg Pass look like fragile threads of gray silk draped over a landscape of jagged white teeth. But what lies in the shadows of the high-altitude forests where the GPS fails and the mist never lifts? Some travelers claim that the modern wooden structures pulse with a low, rhythmic sound when the wind hits the right frequency. There are warnings that the mountains of Vorarlberg do not like to be measured or photographed, and that those who stare too long at the peaks find their own thoughts beginning to drift away. As the amber lights of the mountain villages flicker on at twilight, the valleys look like deep, dark wounds in the earth. Is this the pinnacle of human design? Or are we just decorating the cage of a mountain king? Don't be tempted by the festive effervescence of this vibrant cauldron, for the bubbles in this pool are a chemical cocktail that can dissolve more than just your curiosity. The champagne pool is a spectacular geothermal feature within the Waiōtapu thermal wonderland, formed approximately 700 years ago by a hydrothermal eruption. This 65-meter-wide crater reaches depths of 62 meters, with surface temperatures maintained at a constant 74 degrees Celsius. The water is rich in carbon dioxide, which creates the characteristic fizzing, but the true danger lies in the colorful sediment. The brilliant orange crust that lines the edge is composed of rich deposits of arsenic and antimony sulfides, marking the transition from the deep, boiling reservoir to the cooler surface. Visually, the pool looks like a giant, steaming chalice of liquid turquoise, rimmed with a ring of crushed marigolds and rust. A beautiful but toxic invitation from the Earth's interior. It is a site of immense scientific value, showcasing the raw, primordial chemistry that existed on Earth billions of years ago. Local Maori traditions speak of the Waitapu, or sacred waters, warning that the steam is the breath of a guardian spirit, protecting the hidden treasures of the underworld. They believe the bubbling is a rhythmic signal, a heartbeat of the volcano that must never be ignored. As the sulfurous mist swirls around the orange rim, the pool glows with an eerie, radioactive brilliance under the New Zealand sun. One cannot help but wonder, if this is the Earth's celebration, what exactly is it toasting to in the deep? Does the fizz carry the whispers of a fire that can never be quenched? Never trust the stillness of the blue ice, for the Skaftafeljökull Glacier is a moving river of diamonds that remembers every winter since the dawn of the Vikings. As a prominent outlet glacier of the massive Vatnajökull ice cap, it flows down from the highest peaks of Iceland, carving deep scars into the volcanic basalt of the Skaftafell region. This frozen giant is a complex system of deep blue crevasses and jagged ice ridges, formed by the immense pressure of falling snow, compacting over centuries into crystalline ice. The glacier acts as a sensitive barometer for our planet's health. Its rapid retreat, leaving behind a landscape of raw moraines and milky proglacial lagoons. From a distance, The glacier looks like a massive rippled tongue of frosted glass, licking the black volcanic sands, a striking contrast of crystalline light against the dark earth. However, the beauty is a mask for a treacherous environment where the ice can shift without warning, swallowing the unwary into its sapphire-colored throat. Local legends tell of hidden folk who inhabit the ice caves, spirits that guard the frozen memories of the island. They say the cracking of the ice is the sound of the glacier crying for its lost territory, a rhythmic groan that echoes through the valley. As the Arctic sun reflects off the translucent ridges, the ice glows with a divine ethereal blue that feels like it belongs to another world. We walk upon its surface as guests, but the glacier is the true master of time. If the ice finally vanishes into the sea, what will happen to the spirits that have nowhere left to hide? Steer clear of the Countertall Glacier Road when the ice begins to shift, for the glacier is a slow-moving god that does not recognize the rights of men. This valley is home to one of the most spectacular high alpine roads in Europe, climbing to an elevation of 2,750 meters and cutting directly through layers of prehistoric rock and perpetual ice. The engineering feat involved carving a path through terrain that is constantly in motion, where the road must be rebuilt every year to survive the crushing weight of the snow. The glacier itself looks like a giant frozen blue tongue, licking the side of the gray mountain, its surface scarred by deep, bottomless crevasses that glow with an unnatural sapphire light. However, the beauty of the ice hides a terrifying hunger. Local legends tell of the White Lady of Countertall, a spirit who wanders the ice fields, searching for those who disrespect the silence of the heights. There are warnings that the wind through the valley carries a high-pitched scream that isn't made by air, but by the grinding of ancient stones. As the blue shadows of the peaks stretch across the valley floor, the temperature drops so fast it feels like the air is turning to glass. If you hear the ice cracking beneath your feet, do not look back. The mountain is reclaiming its own, and it does not leave footprints. Do not be fooled by the reputation of Lake Annecy as the cleanest lake in Europe. For the water is so clear, it allows you to see the ghosts of the depths before they see you. This alpine lake in the Haute-Savoie region of France was formed 18,000 years ago by melting glaciers. And today, it is fed by mountain springs that keep the water at a constant, bone-chilling temperature. The lake is surrounded by the towering limestone peaks of the Erebus Range, which cast long, dark reflections that seem to reach out for the swimmers on the surface. The water looks like a vast, liquid turquoise gem, set in a ring of gray stone and dark pine. However, beneath the beautiful surface, the lake hides submerged prehistoric villages and the wrecks of ancient boats that haven't been touched for millennia. Divers speak of a sudden, paralyzing cold that hits you in the middle of the lake, a thermal claw that pulls you down toward the silt. Local stories warn of a creature in the deep that mimics the laughter of children to lure the unwary away from the shore. As the sun sets and the lights of the Venice of the Alps reflect on the water, the surface turns into a mirror that doesn't always show the world as it is. If you see a light moving beneath the waves where there is no boat, do not wait for it to surface. What is the clear water trying to hide in the bright light of day? Step into a painting where time has been strangled by the sun, and the wind is the only thing that remembers the rain. Dead Vlei, or Dead Marsh, is a white clay pan nestled among the towering orange dunes of the Namib Naukluft Park, the oldest desert on Earth. Nearly 1,000 years ago, a shift in dunes blocked the Sachab River, cutting off the water supply to a cluster of camel thorn trees. The trees died, but they did not decay. Instead, the fierce sun scorched them into black, skeletal monuments that have stood for 9 centuries in the absolute dryness. The pan is surrounded by some of the highest dunes in the world, including Big Daddy, which reaches over 350 meters. Visually, the site looks like a macabre, frozen ballroom. Black skeletons dancing on a floor of cracked white porcelain, against a backdrop of burning orange mountains and a cobalt sky. It is a landscape of impossible contrasts and haunting stillness, where the lack of moisture preserves the past in a state of permanent arrest. Local legends say that Dead Vlei is a place where time went to die, and the trees are the spirits of an ancient tribe waiting for the river to return. They believe the shadows move with a life of their own, lengthening across the white clay like reaching fingers. As the sun sets, the orange dunes turn a deep, bloody crimson, and the black trees glow with a sinister, charred intensity. What is the desert trying to tell us about the end of the world? Can a place be so dead that it becomes immortal? How can a subterranean chamber glow with such a haunting brilliance without a single flicker of fire? The Blue Grotto on the island of Capri is a natural sea cave, stretching 60 meters long and 25 meters wide, famous for its mesmerizing electric blue light. This optical phenomenon occurs because sunlight enters through an underwater cavity beneath the small entrance, filtering through the seawater, which absorbs the red tones and leaves only the vibrant sapphire blue to illuminate the dark cavern. Historically, the grotto was the personal swimming hole of Emperor Tiberius in the 2nd century, adorned with statues of sea gods that now rest in museums. Visually, the cave looks like a massive liquid sapphire heart hidden inside the limestone cliffs, where the water appears to be made of glowing neon silk rather than salt and tide. It is a place of heavy, rhythmic echoes, where the sound of the Mediterranean swells against the rock like a titan's breath. Local boatmen warn that you must lie flat on the floor of the boat to enter, for the ceiling is a jagged blade that spares no one. There are whispers that Tiberius never truly left, and that the statues were not just art, but guardians against the sirens who still call from the deep. As the blue light flickers on the wet ceiling, the water feels unnaturally thick, as if it were a portal to an ancient drowned empire. If you hear a melody in the splashing water, do not answer it. Are you a visitor in a cavern, or are you drifting into the mouth of a ghost? A gift from the burning underworld, the Blue Lagoon is a sapphire mirage that should not exist in a land of black frost and volcanic ash. This world-famous geothermal spa is located in a lava field on the Reykjanes Peninsula, where the water is supplied by the nearby Svartsengi geothermal power plant. The water, maintained at a perfect 37-39 degrees C, is rich in silica, sulfur, and blue-green algae, giving it its iconic milky blue appearance and healing properties for the skin. The surrounding landscape is a jagged expanse of black basalt moss, creating a stark, monochromatic contrast with the glowing water. Visually, the lagoon looks like a fallen piece of the sky trapped within a dark, lunar crater, steaming with a thick, white, sulfurous breath. It is a site of supreme relaxation and modern engineering, where human industry meets the raw heat of the earth. However, the local Icelanders speak of the hidden folk, who live in the surrounding lava rocks and do not like to be disturbed by the splashing of tourists. There are warnings that the silica mud holds the memories of the old Earth, and that if you stare too long into the steam, you might see faces that haven't walked the surface for 1,000 years. As the northern lights dance above the milky water, the lagoon glows with an eerie, phosphorescent light that feels divine and dangerous at once. If the steam turns cold against your skin, get out. The underworld is reaching for its heat back. What is the price for a moment of peace in the House of Fire? Step onto a shore so white it blinds the eyes, and so pure it sings beneath your feet. But beware the shifting currents of the Whitsunday tides. Whitehaven Beach is a 7-kilometer stretch of coastline on Whitsunday Island, composed of 98% pure silica sand that does not retain heat, making it comfortable to walk on even in the blazing tropical sun. Unlike most sand, which is ground-up rock, this silica is believed to have been brought to the island by ocean currents over millions of years, as there is no local source of quartz on the island itself. At the northern end, Hill Inlet creates a spectacular swirling mosaic of turquoise water and white sand as the tide shifts the dunes into ever-changing patterns. Visually, the beach looks like a giant marble cake made of liquid sapphire and powdered sugar, a masterpiece of fluid dynamics and geological purity. It is a place of absolute crystalline beauty, where the water is so clear it feels like swimming in air. But the local Ngaro people warn that the shifting sands are a living entity that can swallow the unwary who wander too far into the inlet. They believe the white dust is the ground-up souls of ancient travelers, destined to drift forever with the tides. As the sun hits the silica, the beach radiates a blinding, divine light that feels like a gateway to another world. If you hear your name whispered in the wind across the dunes, do not look back. The sand is always looking for a new company to keep its secrets. Is this paradise or a beautiful trap? Do not fear the swirling mists of Mount Wuyi, but do not trust the jagged peaks to stay still when the wind begins to howl. Located in Fujian Province, the Wuyi Mountains are a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the premier example of Danxia landform, where red sandstone has been eroded into 36 sheer peaks and 99 majestic crags. The Nine Bend River winds through the base of these cliffs, a jade-colored ribbon that has carved deep emerald pools over millions of years. This region is the birthplace of Neo-Confucianism and is world-renowned for its Da Hong Pao oolong tea, grown in the narrow, mineral-rich crevices of the rocks. Visually, the mountains look like a cluster of vertical red teeth rising from a sea of ancient pines, their faces scarred by the hanging coffins of the mysterious Bo people who vanished centuries ago. It is a place of profound silence and scholarly prestige, where the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and tea leaves. Local tea masters warn that the tea spirits guard the highest bushes, and that those who climb without respect will find the path vanishing into the fog. They believe the red stones are the petrified bones of dragons who fell from the sky to protect the river. As the sun sets, the red cliffs glow with a fiery internal heat that makes the stone look like it is bleeding. If the mist takes the shape of a scholar, do not follow him into the crags. Is the mountain teaching you a lesson, or is it drawing you into a permanent silence? Where the tectonic plates of Europe and Asia collide in a violent frozen embrace, the Caucasus Mountains rise as a jagged wall of myth and granite that has defined the boundary of worlds for millennia. Stretching between the Black and Caspian Seas, this range is home to Mount Elbrus, the highest peak in Europe at 5,642 meters. The mountains were formed by the Alpine orogeny, a massive geological event where the Arabian Plate pushed relentlessly into the Eurasian Plate, thrusting the Earth's crust into the sky. This region is a vertical mosaic of over 50 distinct ethnicities and languages, protected by the sheer inaccessibility of the high-altitude passes. The landscape features massive glaciers, deep limestone gorges, and ancient stone watchtowers that cling to the cliffs like mountain eagles. Visually, the range looks like the jagged silver spine of a prehistoric titan buried beneath a blanket of eternal ice and emerald alpine meadows. It is a place of absolute geopolitical and historical prestige, acting as the legendary site where Prometheus was supposedly chained for stealing fire from the gods. The people of the High Caucasus hold their peaks in sacred regard, believing that the wind whistling through the crags is the voice of the mountain kings demanding hospitality and honor. As the sun sets behind the twin peaks of Elbrus, the snow turns a deep, bruised violet, reflecting a history of conflict and survival. Is the silence of the high peaks a sign of peace? Or are the mountains simply waiting for the next great collision to reshape the world? Who truly owns the fire when the mountain decides to reclaim its spark?